It is fantastic to have you with us. We spend days just sifting through mountains of data to find the gold for you.
That is the standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
We do the heavy lifting so you don't have to navigate the labyrinth alone.
Exactly. The Sacred Play podcast is a production of the Church of Sacred Play. Come in.
Come in.
Bring your wonder.
The Church of Sacred Play is a humanist community that uses story, play, and a little stardust thinking to inoculate you against cynicism.
Story, play, and a little stardust thinking. The Sacred Play podcast is our way of bringing those fresh ideas and radical kindness to you.
Yeah. Radical
kindness. To practice compassion, sharpen critical thinking, and build a kinder world together. You're getting a podcast that challenges you to engage with the world.
Exactly.
Not just as entertainment to pass the time during a commute, but as sustenance.
A vitamin for your humanity.
No supernatural claims required. Just curiosity, dignity, and the courage to care out loud.
The courage to care out loud. So come on in and bring your wonder. The Sacred Play podcast, the Church of Sacred Play.
thechurchofsacredplay.com. We are diving into a strategic rebranding that's, much less about market share and much more about philosophical precision.
Exactly. It's really fascinating.
We're looking at a recent announcement, a pretty major name transformation, an organization that has spent years finding that sweet spot between, say, critical thinking and playful wonder. The Church of Tinkerbell is now the Church of Sacred Play.
And that's a huge move because it's not just a logo change. It's a clarification of intent.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone who might not have been following this group, the whole Church of Tinkerbell identity was rooted in this playful rebellion.
Right, whimsical.
Totally whimsical. It used the character to basically say that belief animates worlds, but always with a kind of wink at overly serious certainty. It was a great idea for a while. It worked.
It was provocative for sure. But this new identity, the Church of Sacred Play, seems to be an attempt to distill the entire soul of the project. I mean, we have their mission statement right here, and it's worth just sitting with for a second.
Yeah, it's a whole framework.
Wonder without worship, meaning without dogma, kindness without conditions, critical thinking without coldness, and a way. This last one is key. Imagination as a mirror, not a mandate.
That list, it's basically a secular manifesto. It sets the boundaries for everything we're about to talk about. It's an instruction manual for a kind of spirituality that's built on, empathy and intellectual clarity.
Yeah, and designed to be anti-dogmatic at its absolute core. So we've got this big shift. The central question for this deep dive is, why? Why did a name that was so good at grabbing attention eventually start to pinch, as they put it?
And what does sacred play even mean when you strip away all the usual religious baggage?
Exactly. Let's start with those friction points. Why did the old name stop working?
Well, we have to start with the power of a name itself. The source material calls a name a tiny ritual, a language spell that sets expectations.
The language spell, I like that.
It really is. It tells you how to enter the space. Should you bring a hymn book, a sketchbook, or maybe an emergency exit plan? The old name was just.
Yeah.
It was a really complex spell that started causing some contradictions.
And sometimes that spell summoned the wrong kind of visitor, or maybe even worse, made the right kind of visitor just walk on by. The source lays out 3 key conflicts, and the first one is just instantly recognizable. The shadow of someone else's castle.
Oh yeah. It's a classic IP problem, but it's dressed up as a philosophical one. As the source says, Tinkerbell is widely associated with a specific corporate universe.
Which means, a certain mouse.
A very, very certain mouse. And that association, it's not just some fun reference, it's a massive cultural anchor. The moment someone hears Tinkerbell, their mind just snaps to entertainment, to merchandise.
To a theme park.
Exactly, to a theme park.
Yeah, is that?
Not to deep philosophical exploration or a community for people recovering from shame-based belief systems.
No, absolutely not. It just narrows everything. They're trying to talk about the power of myth and the nature of belief, but the sign on the door keeps pointing everyone's attention to a neighboring, theme park instead of their own house.
Right. The corporate shadow was just too big. It was eclipsing the message.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Even with satirical intent, you can't really appropriate a symbol that big. Which, actually, that leads us right into the second conflict, which is all about satire itself. The message trapped inside the joke.
Satire is described in the source as a trickster tool. It's fast, it's agile, it can slip a truth past your defenses, but the trickster isn't always trusted, right?
Right.
The problem was the name, the Church of Tinkerbell, often just read as only parody.
which acts like a, what does it say here, a bouncer who only lets in people wearing irony. So if you're coming with really sincere, heavy questions, maybe about leaving a toxic belief system, you might look at that name and think, okay, I can't be tender here. I can't be serious. You'd miss the science-minded reverence completely.
And that's a huge cost. The point was never just to mock seriousness. It was to introduce deep, serious thought in a way that didn't demand, blind reverence. If your title is so heavily weighted toward the joke, you lose the ability to hold space for real vulnerability.
That's a great distinction, satire as a tool versus satire as a uniform. Which brings us to the third point, which is really about evolution. Maturity, or beyond the glitter. The project just grew up.
It moved from being this interesting concept to a necessary structure. It's described as a mythic workshop. And that combination is really telling. It's part sanctuary, part comedy club.
Little classroom.
And part let's unlearn the harmful stuff together without anyone getting shamed. The old name just couldn't hold that whole palette. It held the glitter and the spark, but not the deep philosophical work that was now defining the community.
So, okay, I get that. But doesn't that change who comes? If you lose that sharp satirical edge, do you risk becoming, I don't know, just another earnest self-help group?
That's the crucial question. And the source argues that they didn't lose the critical thinking, they just shifted the invitation. They replaced satire as the bouncer with clarity as the invitation. The humor is still inside, but it's no longer the required entry fee.
I see. It's letting the work speak for itself instead of the shock value of the name. Okay, so let's turn to the solution, the new identity, sacred play. This is described as the entire thesis condensed into one sign. We have to break these two words down. Let's start with sacred.
Yeah, that's a loaded one. When most people hear sacred, they think dogma, they think old, they think obligation. And this group is explicitly trying to reclaim it. They say what it is not. It's not unquestionable, not authoritarian, not shame-based, and definitely not please whisper.
So if you strip all that away, the dogma, the authority, what's left? What's the secular human definition of sacredness they're going for?
It's just one word. Significant.
Significant.
That's it. It means something is worth tending to, worth protecting, worth returning to. Think of it less like religious reverence and more like intellectual reverence.
That reframing is really powerful. It's like the reverence you'd give to a personal boundary or a commitment you made to yourself. It's significant because we assign it that value.
Exactly. The sacredness they're talking about is felt, not mandated. It's seeing someone choose kindness when they have every excuse to be cruel. That choice, that's significant. And the best part is, this kind of sacredness doesn't ask you to lie to yourself. It can exist alongside rigor and reality.
Okay, that totally removes the dogma. So now the second half. Play. This is where the intellectual tool belt really comes out. This isn't just about fun.
Not at all. The source calls play the serious medicine we keep pretending is dessert. And this is maybe the core insight of the entire project. Play is not the opposite of seriousness.
It's the opposite of despair.
Yes.
That phrase, opposite of despair, we have to look at that. Why despair?
Well, what is despair? Despair is the absolute certainty that things can't change, that you're powerless, that failure is final. Play, on the other hand, is the very mechanism of revision. It's fundamentally optimistic. Play is where your mind asks, what if?
It's a practice run for reality.
Exactly. It's how we learn without panic. It's how we explore tough ideas without punishment and revise our beliefs without humiliation. If you can treat your beliefs like sacred play, significant but always revisable, you build resilience.
It's where growth happens. You can admit you were wrong or that the world changed, and it doesn't mean you are fundamentally broken.
It's the first candle in a dark room, because that candle is asking, what if we tried something different?
So when you put them together, sacred play basically means wonder and growth, treated as real and valuable without coercion. And that last word, coercion, that feels like the linchpin of the whole thing.
Absolutely. The removal of coercion is the promise of the community. The sacredness of the space isn't upheld by demanding compliance. It's upheld by protecting the psychological safety you need to do difficult intellectual and emotional work.
And if we connect this new, clear identity to the bigger picture, we get to the deeper reason for this whole project's existence, which is pushing back against this huge societal false choice.
This idea, this cultural assumption that you either have to be rational and become cold and cynical, or be spiritual and abandon intellectual rigor, they just completely refuse to accept that choice.
And the goal is to cultivate people who can do both. Who can think carefully but also feel deeply, admit uncertainty, resist dogma, without just becoming a cynic. It's saying you don't need supernatural claims to feel wonder.
You don't need shame to be moral, and they do it with this great self-awareness. They know that calling yourself the Church of Sacred Play sounds really profound, like you should walk in and find incense and chanting.
Right, but instead you walk in and find, a worksheet about cognitive biases.
Or a story about a fairy who refuses to bully anyone.
That humor. That's the thread connecting back to the old name. But it's not the entire carpet anymore. It actually validates the seriousness by refusing to take itself too seriously.
Yes, which is so key. The name is gone, but the foundation is the same. The new sign just makes more room for what was already here. The skepticism is still there, the compassion is still there, the use of fantasy as a lens, not a literal claim, it's all still there.
It sounds like the biggest strength of the new name is just accessibility. The old name was a great in-joke, but jokes, by definition, can exclude people.
That's it. It offers more accessible entry points. If someone's looking for a space that sounds comforting, like Sacred Play, they might stumble in. They might come because the name sounds soft, and then they end up staying for, of all things, epistemology.
Which is a perfect example of what they're trying to do. Epistemology, the study of knowledge, is traditionally a very dry, rigorous field. By packaging that quest for clarity inside an invitation of play, they marry rigor with human-centered growth.
It's the ultimate win. They want you to realize that rigorous thinking, that desire for clarity, is itself a form of self-care. It's a path to a more honest connection, which is, a very sacred thing.
So this whole deep dive really has been about an organization using language itself as a tool, a way to perfectly align their public identity with their mission. They removed the barriers of corporate association and heavy irony and just paved the way for curiosity.
And because they get how important symbols and stories are, the source actually shared a little optional ritual to go with the name change. A practice of release.
It's about acknowledging that process of self-revision. You're asked to think of an old belief you held really tightly, maybe a limiting thought, a fear, something that once protected you but now holds you back.
And then you whisper, "Thank you for trying to protect me."
Yeah.
You acknowledge its past utility.
And finally you whisper, "I release you now." And you imagine it just turning into confetti. It's a symbolic practice of letting go, of making room.
The name changed, but as the source says, the lantern light stayed the same. And that light is defined as a better world built from empathy, clarity, courage, and a stubborn refusal to let wonder die. So for you listening, as you navigate your own life, maybe think about how you might adjust the name tag on one of your own projects or values to better invite the outcome you really seek. May your questions stay sharp and your play stay sacred.
The Sacred Play podcast is a production of the Church of Sacred Play, thechurchofsacredplay.com.
You could be anywhere else listening to anything else. You gave us your time. We thank you. Stay curious.
And we'll see you in the next
Sacred Play podcast.